ever looked at a pile of trash and wondered, could this actually become beautiful? Welcome to Nest Nature, a place where bottles, cups, and even scrap metal are reborn into colorful borders, edging, and backyard treasures. In this video, we'll explore DIY trash garden ideas designed to transform tiny yards, patios, and front gardens into something extraordinary. To make it easy, I've added timestamps. Feel free to jump to the parts you need most. And if you have questions or ideas, drop them in the comments. I love hearing from you. Maybe to you, I'm just another face on a screen. But behind this content, there's a real story, and a real family. This isn't just a video, it's a piece of my heart. Every like, every comment, every subscribe, it truly matters. When you subscribe, you're not just helping a channel grow, you're helping a dream stay alive. You're giving a small family hope, one click at a time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for seeing me. Oak, saya pahami maksudmu. Jadi semua hasilkan saya rapikan ulang dalam format yang sama persis dengan kanto yang kamu kasih di atas. Semua dalam bahasa Inggris, padat, jelas, keyword rich, dan siap dipakai. In the heart of a small garden, where the morning sun filters through layers of foliage, lies a border unlike any other, a ribbon of recycled bottles transformed into a tapestry of color and bloom. What was once dismissed as disposable plastic now stands proudly, painted in hues of turquoise, pastel pink, and golden yellow. Each bottle, firmly anchored into the earth, carries its own secret, roots of chrysanthemums, asters, and marigolds stretching deep into the soil, bursting forth in petals that dance with the wind. Along the tiny yard pathway, the bottles glisten under droplets of dew, catching the light like stained glass in a country chapel. They form a whimsical rhythm, guiding footsteps gently through the garden, turning the ordinary act of walking into a slow, joyful stroll. The border not only defines the path but sings with color, each bottle a chorus member in a vibrant song of renewal. Children who wander into the backyard see not trash, but treasure, tiny glass-like soldiers standing guard around clusters of sedum autumn joy. The neighborhood passerby pauses at the fence, marveling at the transformation. There is a sense of magic in how simple things, touched by creativity, can reshape a landscape into a living artwork. Nearby, a pergola draped in climbing vines extends its leafy arms, offering a shaded corner where one might sip tea and lose themselves in the hum of bees. From there, the bottle blossom border stretches outward, a painter's brushstroke on the canvas of soil and stone. In autumn, when air grows cool and the chrysanthemums glow with fiery tones, the bottles seem to echo their brilliance, radiating warmth against the fading light of the season. This border is not just edging, it is a declaration of possibility, that beauty need not come from expensive stone or steel, but from what already surrounds us. Painted, planted, and placed with care, discarded bottles are reborn as guardians of the garden, storytellers of color, and keepers of joy. In every curve and corner, they whisper, transformation is always within reach, if only we choose to see. There is a kind of joy that only comes from small, delicate things. In the corner of the garden, old ceramic cups once forgotten in dusty cupboards have been given a new voice. Painted in pastel shades, their curved handles and delicate rims now cradle tiny worlds of life, roots burrowing into rich soil, petals unfurling like whispers of color. The cup planter parade begins along the fence, where a row of cups sits proudly, each one unique, each one blooming. Here, a sunflower yellow marigold bursts forth from a chipped porcelain teacup. There, an aster with lavender petals dances gently in the breeze. The cups seem to chatter among themselves, a procession of cheerful vessels carrying blossoms as though marching in celebration. As the morning sun rises, the cups catch its glow, gleaming like jewels in a treasure chest. The air fills with the earthy perfume of soil mingled with the sweetness of chrysanthemums. Bees hover from one bloom to the next, unaware of the human whimsy that brought this little parade to life. Visitors who wander through the small garden smile at the sight. There is something irresistibly charming about these miniature planters, the way they line a garden path like tiny lanterns, or cluster on shelves in a patio corner, spilling over with Japanese anemone and sedum autumn joy. They remind us that beauty does not need grandeur, it thrives even in the smallest vessel. On a crisp autumn evening, one might sit near the pergola and watch as the last rays of sun kiss the cups, making them glow like porcelain candles. The garden seems to hum with quiet delight, as if the cups themselves are pleased to be alive again, transformed from discarded relics into hosts of color and fragrance. This parade is more than decoration, it is a story of second chances. It is proof that every object, no matter how small, carries the potential to hold life, to share joy, to become art. The Cup Planter Parade reminds us that renewal lies not in abundance, but in creativity, in the gentle act of seeing possibility where others see waste. In the quiet stillness of a backyard, where blooms sway with the rhythm of the breeze, something unexpected rises from the earth. Not stems nor leaves, but tall, slender stakes of metal, reborn into flowers of everlasting color. What was once discarded as scrap now gleams with new life, petals forged from iron, painted in hues that echo the garden's own symphony of blossoms. The rustic metal flower stakes stand proudly among chrysanthemums and asters, their painted petals reaching toward the sky as if in harmony with the living blooms. Each stake is unique, one shaped into a broad daisy, brushed in turquoise and cream, another curled into the likeness of a marigold, glowing in golden yellow. Together, they form a chorus of steel and paint, echoing the language of flowers without ever withering. By day, the stakes shimmer in the sunlight, their glossy surfaces catching glimmers of light that dance across the garden path. By evening, as the air cools and shadows grow long, they transform into silhouettes, standing guard over the delicate blossoms that sleep at their feet. Their presence is both protective and poetic, bridging the line between art and nature. Visitors who wander the front yard pause to marvel. They touch the cool surface of the stakes and smile at the contrast between the strength of metal and the fragility of petals. Children laugh as they imagine these flowers blooming through the winter, immune to frost or fading seasons. For gardeners, the stakes whisper a reminder: beauty is not bound to what is living alone. It can be shaped, painted, and dreamed into being. A rustic wooden bench sits nearby, inviting one to linger. From there, the stakes seem almost alive, their painted colors blending seamlessly with the marigolds and Japanese anemones that flourish at their base. The border feels enchanted, a collaboration between discarded junk and thriving life, bound together by creativity. These stakes are more than decoration. They are storytellers, of resilience, of imagination, of beauty born from what others overlooked. In every brushstroke of paint and every curve of metal lies the promise that even the forgotten can bloom again, not as weeds or rust, but as guardians of joy in the garden. When twilight falls and the garden softens into shadow, the gazebo awakens with quiet magic. Its beams, once bare, now carry garlands of recycled bottles, each one reborn as a vessel of light and bloom. Painted in hues of turquoise, lavender, and rose, the bottles sway gently in the evening breeze, their glassy skins catching the last golden threads of the sun. From within, marigolds, asters, and chrysanthemums spill over, their petals pressed lovingly against the bottle mouths as though eager to greet the dusk. Some bottles glow like lanterns, reflecting fairy lights woven among them, while others remain simple and soft, cradling Japanese anemones whose blossoms whisper to the cooling air. The gazebo itself feels transformed, no longer just a shelter of wood and shadow, but a shrine to creativity. It stands at the heart of the backyard, its colorful glow drawing visitors near. Children step softly, enchanted by the way the bottles shine like jewels. Adults pause beneath its beams, warmed by the sight of ordinary glass reborn into art. The cobblestone path leading to the gazebo seems almost ceremonial, guiding footsteps toward a sanctuary where nature and imagination entwine. Sitting inside, one can look outward and see the garden painted anew, bottles glowing like stained glass windows, flowers nodding in the breeze, and vines draped across beams as if they, too, wish to belong. In autumn, when the nights grow longer and the air carries the scent of fading blooms, the gazebo glow bottles remain steadfast. They remind all who pass that beauty can linger, even as seasons change. They are proof that even what was cast aside, an empty bottle, a fragment of glass, can hold the power to brighten a space, to create warmth, to kindle delight. Here, in this glowing retreat, one learns that transformation is not only possible but breathtaking. It lies not in wealth or grandeur, but in the gentle hands of those who dare to reimagine. The gazebo glow bottles are more than decoration. They are a celebration of light, color, and life, a radiant heartbeat in the garden, where the ordinary becomes extraordinary. In a quiet farmhouse garden, where the air is sweet with the scent of soil and blossoms, discarded junk finds a second life. What once rusted in forgotten corners is now painted in soft white, sage green, and gentle yellow, colors that whisper of countryside charm. Here, scrap metal becomes more than refuse, it becomes treasure. Among the asters and chrysanthemums stand old milk cans, their surfaces smoothed and painted, brimming with marigolds in fiery orange. A dented kettle, once abandoned, now glows in pastel blue, carrying sedum autumn joy that spills like a cascading fountain. Buckets of iron, their shapes familiar and sturdy, hold Japanese anemones that dance gracefully in the breeze. Each object tells its own story of resilience, reimagined not as scrap, but as art. The farmhouse setting embraces these treasures naturally. A wooden fence frames the view, while a pergola draped in vines stretches overhead, casting patterns of dappled shade. The garden feels alive, not only because of the flowers, but because of the character these objects bring. They stand as guardians of memory, reminders of a time when things were built to last, now revived with color and care. Visitors often pause here, touched by the transformation. Children see wonder in the way an old spade becomes a flower stand. Neighbors smile at how a broken pail blooms brighter than a new vase ever could. The garden becomes more than a place of growth, it becomes a gallery, a museum of possibility, where every object is a canvas waiting to bloom. At dusk, the treasures take on an even warmer glow. The painted surfaces catch the fading sunlight, reflecting softly against the petals they cradle. The garden hums with quiet satisfaction, its beauty woven from what others once dismissed. Farmhouse junk treasures remind us that charm lies not in perfection, but in reinvention. In the heart of the garden, these objects are no longer junk, they are storytellers, holding within them the essence of creativity, sustainability, and timeless rustic beauty. There is something irresistibly charming about a garden made small, not in spirit, but in scale. Along the edges of a tiny backyard, a collection of ceramic cups sits proudly, each one carrying its own bloom. These are not cups for tea anymore. They are cups for life, reborn as miniature planters that overflow with color and joy. Painted in hues of pastel pink, mint, and sky blue, the cups seem to smile against the backdrop of greenery. From their rims spill asters in delicate lavender, chrysanthemums glowing in golden tones, and marigolds that burn like little suns. Each bloom rises from soil cradled in porcelain, a union of fragility and resilience that makes the garden feel both whimsical and profound. The cutest cup garden lives in quiet corners and sunny shelves, where neighbors might not expect beauty to bloom. An old wooden table on the patio becomes a stage for teacups painted cream and lavender, each one holding sedum autumn joy or Japanese anemones, their blossoms swaying gently in the breeze. The effect is enchanting, like a secret garden discovered in the smallest of places. Children often pause here, their eyes wide with delight at the sight of tiny planters lined like soldiers in parade. Guests smile as they walk the path lined with hanging cups, swinging gently as the wind passes through. Even the simplest passerby feels the pull of creativity in the air, a reminder that gardens are not bound by size, but by imagination. As evening approaches, the soft glow of fading sunlight paints the cups in warm tones, turning them into glowing lanterns of porcelain and petal. The garden hums quietly with the buzz of bees, the rustle of leaves, and the scent of flowers blooming in tiny vessels. The cutest cup garden is more than decor. It is a declaration of playfulness, of joy, of the power of reinvention. Each cup whispers that beauty can be found in the most unassuming places, if only one dares to look with fresh eyes. In every sip of color, in every petal cradled by porcelain, the garden becomes a poem, one written in miniature, but felt in full. Along the winding garden path, a shimmer of blue catches the eye. It is not the sea, though it feels like one. It is a border of bottles painted in ocean tones, transformed into a seascape that dances with light and bloom. Aqua, cobalt, and seafoam hues ripple through the yard, guiding footsteps as waves guide ships to shore. Each bottle, once discarded, now stands proudly like a glass tide, holding chrysanthemums and asters whose colors echo the richness of coral reefs. The border feels alive, as though the garden itself has borrowed the soul of the sea and placed it here, in the heart of the backyard. On breezy afternoons, the bottles glisten as the sunlight bounces across their surfaces, sparkling like water kissed by dawn. Between them, Japanese anemones rise gracefully, their soft petals moving like sea creatures in invisible currents. Sedum autumn joy spills over the edges in warm tones of rose and rust, a contrast to the cool blues, much like seaweed against a sandy shore. Visitors who pass by pause, enchanted by the illusion. They hear the rustle of leaves and imagine the surf. They see marigolds glowing golden and think of the sun setting over the horizon. The bottles are no longer mere edging, they are storytellers, carrying whispers of the ocean into the quiet of the garden. Children place seashells at the base, adding to the magic, as though the garden were a treasure chest discovered after the tide retreated. Adults find comfort in the calm, a reminder that one does not need to stand at the edge of the sea to feel its peace. Sometimes, a few bottles and a little imagination bring the waves home. As dusk falls, the border glows softly, its painted surfaces reflecting the last light like distant waters under the moon. In this moment, the garden becomes a seascape, timeless and soothing, where trash has become treasure and bottles have become the sea itself. The seascape bottle border is more than design, it is a portal to serenity, a reminder that beauty is not limited to where we find it, but to how we create it. Beneath the beams of a humble pergola, something whimsical begins to glow. Dangling from twine and wood are not crystals or candles, but teacups, reclaimed, repainted, and reborn as chandeliers of the garden. Their pastel hues of pink, cream, and blue catch the afternoon light, while blooms of marigolds, asters, and anemones spill from their rims like delicate jewels. The pergola cup chandeliers sway gently with the breeze, their ceramic bodies clinking softly as though whispering secrets to one another. They are playful, yet elegant, a marriage of farmhouse charm and cottage garden wonder. Below, a rustic wooden table waits, perfect for tea on a cool autumn day, surrounded by chrysanthemums glowing gold and sedum autumn joy blushing in warm rose. The pergola itself feels transformed, no longer just a frame of beams but a stage where creativity performs. Each cup, once destined for dust, now holds life and light. Some carry blossoms, others cradle tiny fairy lights that twinkle when dusk falls. The effect is enchanting, like stepping into a lantern-lit festival hidden in one's own backyard. Visitors are captivated the moment they enter. They look upward and smile, marveling at how something so ordinary has become extraordinary. Children giggle at the sight of flowers blooming upside down, while neighbors pause at the fence, curious about the soft glow spilling into the night. As the sun sets, the pergola cup chandeliers reveal their magic fully. Painted surfaces reflect the warm glow of lights, and flowers cast gentle shadows upon the beams. The garden below takes on a fairy tale quality, where each step feels like part of a dream. This creation is more than decoration, it is an invitation. It invites people to linger longer in the garden, to gather beneath the pergola with friends, to sip tea surrounded by colors and blooms that seem to float in the air. It proves that beauty is not bound by tradition, but by imagination, that even a teacup can become a chandelier when seen through the lens of creativity. In the quiet of evening, as the breeze softens and stars appear, the pergola glows with a gentle radiance. The cup chandeliers stand as symbols of joy, reminding all who see them that wonder can be made, even from the humblest of things. There is a certain magic in autumn, when the garden hums with quiet warmth and the colors of fire dance across the earth. In the center of this season's embrace lies the autumn joy bottle bed, a border crafted not of stone, but of bottles painted in the hues of fall. Amber, crimson, and golden tones line the flower bed like glowing embers, holding within them a celebration of life at the edge of the year. Inside this radiant frame, sedum autumn joy rises proudly, its blossoms glowing in dusky pinks that deepen as the air grows colder. Chrysanthemums burst forth in shades of gold and ruby, their petals catching the fading sunlight, while asters add strokes of lavender to the autumn palette. The bottles themselves seem to mirror the flowers, their painted skins reflecting the fiery glow of the season. Visitors walking the tiny path pause to take in the sight. The bed feels alive, not only with plants, but with memory, the memory of discarded bottles reimagined, repurposed into guardians of beauty. Children kick gently at the fallen leaves that gather around the edges, their laughter mingling with the rustle of the wind. Adults linger a little longer, drawn by the warmth radiating from a border that seems to echo the heart of autumn itself. At dusk, the autumn joy bottle bed becomes even more enchanting. As the sun lowers, its last rays strike the painted bottles, making them shimmer like glowing lanterns around the bed. The flowers within glow in contrast, their rich colors deepened by the fading light, offering one last burst of brilliance before night descends. This bed is more than a garden feature. It is a celebration of transition, of finding beauty in change. Bottles once empty now hold the spirit of the season, painted not only with colors, but with hope, that even what has been cast aside can shine again. The Autumn Joy bottle bed teaches that endings can be radiant, that transformation is eternal, and that in the garden, every object, whether living bloom or recycled glass, has a place in the story of beauty. In the heart of the backyard, where laughter and quiet evenings mingle, stands a cascade unlike any other. Not of water, but of cups, old, painted, and overflowing with flowers. Each ceramic vessel leans gently into the next, creating a waterfall of blooms that pours into the soil below. The backyard cup cascade is a playful dance of color and imagination. At the top, a pastel yellow teacup tips forward, releasing a stream of chrysanthemums in glowing white and gold. Beneath it, lavender-painted mugs catch the flow, spilling asters in shades of violet and blue. At the base, a wide, mint-green cup cradles marigolds that blaze like captured sunlight. The effect is a river of blossoms, frozen in perpetual motion, cascading through porcelain steps. Visitors who wander into the garden are drawn immediately to this centerpiece. Children marvel at the illusion, giggling as they trace the path of flowers with their eyes, as though following water down a mountain stream. Adults pause in admiration, recognizing how something so simple, a stack of discarded cups, has become a work of art that breathes joy into the yard. The cascade feels alive with personality. Each cup holds not just soil and petals, but a fragment of charm. Some are chipped, their imperfections painted over with pastel tones that turn flaws into features. Others gleam with glossy finishes, reflecting sunlight that dances over the flowers. Together, they form a chorus of renewal, speaking a language of creativity that resonates with every visitor. As the day fades into evening, the cascade takes on a softer glow. The cups glimmer in twilight, their painted colors deepening, while the flowers rest quietly, cradled in their unusual vessels. The soundless waterfall seems to hum with peace, offering comfort to all who linger nearby. The backyard cup cascade is more than decoration. It is a reminder of transformation. It shows that beauty can flow endlessly, not just from rivers and fountains, but from imagination itself. In every tilted cup and every cascading bloom lies the proof that even the smallest objects can create the grandest spectacles. In the gentle embrace of the garden, where flowers sway in the rhythm of the wind, stand creations both strong and delicate, metallic bloom stands. Forged from scrap, painted in luminous shades of silver, copper, and pastel gold, they rise above the soil with grace, holding blossoms like treasures displayed upon pedestals. Each stand carries its own story. One curves like a twisting stem, crowned with a pot of chrysanthemums that blaze in golden hues. Another, sturdy and tall, holds asters that scatter violet petals like stars against the sky. At their feet, sedum autumn joy spreads warmly, its blooms complementing the glow of polished metal. Together, they create a scene where strength and softness meet, a gallery of resilience blooming in steel and petal. The stands seem to elevate not only the flowers but the spirit of the garden itself. Visitors follow the pathway lined with these sculptures, marveling at how something once discarded has become so striking. Children reach up to touch the shining surfaces, laughing as they see their reflections ripple across the painted metal. Adults linger, their eyes caught by the contrast of cold iron and warm blossoms, united in harmony. At dusk, the metallic bloom stands take on an even greater magic. The setting sun paints them in shades of fire and shadow, their glossy colors deepening while the flowers glow softly in the fading light. The garden corner transforms into a stage, where nature and creativity perform a duet that captivates every viewer. The presence of these stands reminds us that beauty is not limited to what grows from the earth. It can also rise from human imagination, from the willingness to see potential in what others discard. Scrap becomes sculpture, junk becomes art, and flowers find new stages from which to bloom. The metallic bloom stands are more than garden decor. They are symbols of transformation, resilience, and the artistry of renewal. In every polished curve, in every flower lifted high, lies the proof that even metal can blossom when touched by vision and care. Along the edge of the garden, where paths meet blooms, a ribbon of color stretches like a painted horizon. This is no ordinary border, but a creation born from the humblest of materials, discarded plastics, transformed into rainbow trash edging. What was once forgotten now sings in bold hues, guiding footsteps with joy and wonder. Each piece of plastic has been painted in radiant tones: crimson red, sunflower yellow, emerald green, sapphire blue, and amethyst purple. Together, they form a rainbow that does not fade with the weather, but endures, brightening the garden in every season. The border frames beds of chrysanthemums and asters, their blossoms echoing the colors around them, while marigolds blaze in golden harmony with the painted edging. Visitors are greeted by a sense of delight as they walk the pathway. Children see the edging as stepping stones to adventure, hopping from color to color in laughter. Adults marvel at the transformation, surprised by how something once destined for waste can hold such vibrancy. The garden feels alive with playfulness, a place where creativity blooms as abundantly as flowers. In the front yard, the rainbow trash edging glows against the backdrop of Japanese anemones swaying in the breeze. In the backyard, it guides the way toward a rustic pergola draped in ivy, where one might sit and sip tea beneath the arcs of color. Tiny yards and patios, once overlooked, are now defined by this cheerful border, turning small spaces into canvases of joy. As the day fades, the rainbow deepens under the soft glow of twilight. The painted surfaces catch the last golden rays, shining like stained glass laid upon the earth. The flowers lean gently toward the colors, as if in conversation with their painted companions. This edging is not merely decoration, it is a testament to possibility. It proves that beauty does not require newness, but imagination. It shows that even the smallest fragments of trash can become guardians of color and joy. The rainbow trash edging whispers a truth to every passerby. Within what is discarded lies the promise of transformation, and within transformation lies the magic of renewal. In a corner of the garden, where broken things might once have been swept away, a new kind of beauty emerges. Shards of teacups, once fractured and forgotten, now rest side by side, forming a mosaic that glows with color and charm. The charming cup mosaic is a border of memory and renewal, a place where fragments are not discarded but celebrated. Each piece is painted or polished, its edges softened and arranged like puzzle pieces into the soil. Mint green shards glisten beside lavender curves, while cream-colored fragments catch the light like seashells on sand. Together they form a border that is as playful as it is elegant, guiding the eye along beds of chrysanthemums, asters, and marigolds that bloom in abundance above. Visitors marvel at the unexpected artistry. Children kneel close, tracing the patterns with curious fingers, discovering how pieces that once seemed broken now fit perfectly into something greater. Adults smile knowingly, reminded of how beauty often comes from imperfection. The mosaic feels alive, not only because of the flowers it holds, but because of the stories each cup once carried, cups that poured tea, shared moments, and now cradle blossoms in a new form. In the front yard, the charming cup mosaic brightens the path to the pergola, its painted shards catching glimmers of afternoon sun. In the tiny patio, it frames asters and Japanese anemones, making even the smallest space feel vibrant and whole. The mosaic does not need grandeur, its strength lies in the quiet joy of transformation. As evening falls, the pieces shine softly in twilight, reflecting the fading light like tiny lanterns set into the soil. The flowers above lean gracefully toward the colors, completing a picture of harmony between what was broken and what now blooms. The charming cup mosaic is more than an edging. It is a poem written in porcelain, a story of second chances. It whispers to all who see it that imperfection is not the end, but the beginning of something new. In every fragment lies potential, and in every mosaic lies the truth that beauty is not about being whole, but about being reimagined. Step into the backyard and it feels as though you've entered another world, a place where imagination and nature weave a tapestry of magic. Nestled in a quiet corner, the backyard cup fairyland glimmers with whimsy. Ceramic cups, once plain and forgotten, now shimmer in pastel shades of mint, lavender, and cream, their handles curving like the doors to tiny enchanted homes. From each cup blooms a garden in miniature. Asters stretch upward, their lavender petals catching the morning light. Marigolds burst in fiery tones, their blossoms glowing like lanterns set along a woodland path. Chrysanthemums and sedum autumn joy spill gracefully from their porcelain cradles, creating rivers of color across the mossy ground. Between them, tiny figurines of fairies and mushrooms peek playfully, as if watching over their blooming kingdom. The air feels different here, lighter, filled with possibility. Children wander into the fairyland and whisper in awe, convinced that real fairies must be hiding in the shadows. Adults, too, pause, caught between memory and wonder, reminded of the childhood magic that lingers in small things. Each step along the path reveals a new delight, a cup balanced on a rock, spilling blossoms like a waterfall, or another glowing softly under the light of a lantern. In the front yard, these cups form a charming fairy path that leads to a pergola draped in vines, where one might imagine fairies gathering at dusk. In tiny patios, the arrangement becomes even more intimate, a pocket of enchantment where flowers and fantasy bloom together. When night falls, the backyard cup fairyland transforms completely. Soft twinkling lights glow above, illuminating the painted cups and the blooms they cradle. Shadows stretch like whispers across the garden, while every flower seems to lean closer, as if listening to a lullaby sung by the stars. The backyard cup fairyland is more than decoration, it is a promise of wonder. It shows that beauty can be playful, that joy can be cultivated not only in soil but in imagination. Each cup, each bloom, each tiny detail whispers of a world unseen yet deeply felt, a place where discarded objects become vessels of magic, and the garden becomes a storybook that never ends. In the smallest of spaces, where steps are few and corners are close, lies a path that feels like a hidden trove of wonders. The tiny yard treasure path is edged not with stone or brick, but with everyday objects reborn, bottles, cups, and scraps painted in shades of mint, lavender, teal, and cream. They line the walkway like jewels laid gently into the earth, guiding each footstep with color and charm. Each vessel carries its own treasure. A chipped porcelain cup cradles a cluster of marigolds, their fiery blossoms glowing like golden coins. A bottle, painted in deep teal, holds asters that scatter violet petals like precious gems. Scrap metal, smoothed and painted, rises like tiny pedestals for chrysanthemums bursting in shades of ivory and crimson. Together, they weave a story of abundance in the narrowest of spaces. Children see the path as an adventure, hopping from side to side, imagining themselves following a trail to secret gardens hidden beyond. Adults walk slowly, their eyes drawn downward to the patchwork of color, their hearts lifted by the transformation of what once was waste into a gallery of joy. The air feels intimate here. Vines climb nearby pergolas, weaving leafy arches overhead, while ivy stretches across fences as if embracing the path. At the edges, sedum autumn joy and Japanese anemones bloom with quiet elegance, their blossoms soft against the bold painted edging. Even in the smallest yard, the path gives the sense of entering a world larger than itself, a world of imagination, renewal, and possibility. At twilight, the tiny yard treasure path glows. Painted surfaces reflect the fading light, shimmering like lanterns embedded in soil. Flowers seem to lean closer, their colors deepening in the gentle dusk. The path no longer feels like simple garden edging. It becomes a journey, a story unfolding step by step. This creation is more than a walkway, it is a reminder. It whispers that even small spaces can hold grandeur, that even discarded objects can become treasures. The tiny yard treasure path teaches that beauty is not bound by size, but by vision. In every step along the border, one feels the truth: a garden is not measured by its scale, but by the wonder it inspires.